Hi, I'm Jeanette Lenoir of ePluribus America, here with another edition of EPA Live. My guest today is Pastor Johnson. Uh, he's actually a husband and wife team. His wife, Iola Johnson, could not make it today, but we're happy to meet with Pastor Johnson. They are a husband and wife team leading the Great Commission Change of Life Ministries in Prince George's County, Maryland. Today, we're talking about how their ministry is bridging the gap for families and individuals experiencing hard times. Thank you for joining me, Pastor Keith Johnson. It's a pleasure to have you as my guest on EPA Live.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. Me and my wife couldn't be here, but just here in spirit.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. So basically, I wanted today our topic is about food insecurities and the real issue that has to deal with hunger. I think a lot of people forget that hunger is still an issue that many people face, especially in underserved areas like Prince George's County. And so I'm just going to, so last year, 48% of Prince George's County residents reported being food insecure, according to data from the Capital Area Food Bank's Hunger Report. And your ministry has a food pantry that serves families and individuals who have fallen on hard times or are recently unemployed and need assistance to make ends meet. With help from local business partners and farms, your ministry provides food to meet basic nutritional needs for those less fortunate. Can you tell us more about the food insecurity gaps your ministry is facing and working to bridge?
Yes, I thank you very much for that question. Yes, God has blessed us to be the intercessor for the lack of food for the different individuals as well as different independent senior citizen group homes. We do have an epidemic or a crisis, if you will, um, because of the area that we live in and uh, people lack of food, even with government assistance. We find out that even if you receive some assistance from that if you're like a single mother or have a household with say teenage children, like, at
Yeah.
school, that it doesn't last past the 15th month, and so we have to make sure that we feed them because one thing I like about President Bush, I hate to admit this thing, but he did the Head Start program that
Yeah.
fed children at schools, and I like him for that because you cannot get properly educated if you're like your stomach is growling when you're trying to receive
Yes.
education or anything of that nature. So we do feed multiple individuals as well as the group homes. So we feed about I would say about 200 or 300 families a month.
Wow. Yeah, that's a large number. And what's shocking to me was that you all even provide this service. I stumbled upon you just by sheer chance, but I was really surprised. So, can you talk a little bit about this type of work that churches and ministries like yours do and engage in? Because a lot of people don't know that you provide. You have a food pantry, but you don't just provide food. You work with local businesses, you work with local farms, and you provide healthy food for folks who are food insecure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are partners first of all with the Capital Area Food Bank, which is a
Hmm.
large organization in DC and Virginia area,
Hmm.
and they have different organizations, nonprofit organizations that are connected with them to receive different produce and food from them. We're also connected with two giant supermarkets that
Yeah.
we receive um, bakery, meat, and dairy products. We're also connected with the farmers. We've been doing that for the last month. You ran into us, who provide fresh produce straight from the farm. We have different venues to help us and partner with us to get this food out to the people in need.
Yeah.
And Great Commission Change of Life Ministry, our ministry, actual church, contributes so much to our pantry, which my wife, I wish she was here, has dubbed, I believe it's the Joseph Pantry, from the scripture
Hmm.
when Joseph, when he was a famine for 7 years, he built up the pantry. But after the fact, they will have food in the storehouse. That's what we're trying to do here, have food to provide for the people when they have a need. And they call us from all over, from Kaiser Permanente, different social workers. Uh, they contact us from all different connections. But we don't have we're trying to improve our advertisement so we can get out to the masses.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's play a little video of some of the work that you all do, so the folks have an idea of some of the work that goes behind the magic of bridging the gap of those who are food insecure. So as you can see, there's a lot of work that goes into uh, the gaps that your team, you have an entire team to help you, not just your wife who's also a pastor, but your family. You have your grandson, you have other family members that support you, and can you talk a little bit about what goes into making this happen on behalf of those less fortunate?
Okay, like you did mention, I want to first reach out to the team, which you just saw in the picture, as well as my wife, who was in there also. We have a team. Our team is actually greater than the ones that you've seen because we have two different points of contact. Like the giant, we have a
Mhm.
member's husband and her son was there. We took a picture. But she's our contact, Giant Food. Her name is
Mhm.
Felicia Gray, and she helps us. And we also have another point of contact at one of the group homes, senior living homes. Like I said, we deal with four, three in the Maryland area and one in the DC area. In the DC area, it's called Triangle View Nursing Home. We have O'Kelly Phillips. He's our point of contact. Another one of our group homes is Perry Jones, but she passed away. We have like four, and we used to visit all of them before COVID. And since COVID, we only really focus on two of them right now. And it takes a lot. And the way the procedure works, we have those group homes as well as individuals coming to us on the day of to pick up food on the Thursday between the hours of
Mhm.
11 to 2. So we
Mhm.
have individuals pick up food as well as the delivery to the different nursing homes.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting. Another statistic that I thought was really interesting was, and important to note, was in Maryland, nearly 700,000 people are facing hunger every single day. And, and of them, over 160,000 are children. In other words, one in eight children face hunger in Maryland, and many of them live in Prince George's County. Can you talk about what hunger looks like in your neck of the woods?
Okay, you were cutting off, but I believe you were talking about the children in need. We have a special place, and I love my wife because she has a special place in her heart for children and senior citizens.
Hmm.
When we our actual giving out of the food is based on the amount of members in the household and the age of the children. And we want to make sure that we give nutritional food for the children as well as feed the adults. But we focus on the children when we're giving it to a household. We ask how many children there are in the household and how many people in your household and things of that nature so we can basically plan the giving out of food based on the house. Not pre-planned or anything like that when any car pulls up. We have to how old they are, how many children they have, who's in the house, what age they are, and things of that nature. Now, when we go to the independent living home, we know how old all of them are.
Hmm. Yeah. And you mentioned earlier the pandemic and COVID. So during the pandemic, the federal government provided a food safety net for families and individuals who were facing hard times. Now that the pandemic is over, the safety net was taken away. Can you talk about the impact of losing this crucial support from the federal government? Like, how has that impacted the work that you do? Because although the safety net was taken away, the need remains there. It's the same.
Okay, I found out through our serving the public that even before the safety net was placed, there was a need. Like I spoke of
Yeah.
earlier, if you have a household where some, you might not know about teenagers or young adults live in the house, they can eat. And normally we found out from interviewing some of the people that come into our food pantry that even if they get food stamps, it's going by the 15th of the month. And
Yeah.
so we try to bridge that gap right there. Plus, when they took away emergency COVID relief, our numbers increased. We had more people than before coming to the food bank because they had a need, a great need. And we had to fulfill that as well as the amount of people we were already feeding.
Hmm.
It's a real struggle out here. People are going through because of the pandemic, because of COVID, because of everything of that nature. Like during COVID, we were not allowed to go into some of the independent living homes. That stopped us from serving them at that particular time.
I see. Okay. So also, when do you provide services and how can those in need find you?
Okay, we provide services on Thursday. We used to provide it 2 days a week, Thursday and Saturday, but we only provide it on Thursday between the hours of 10 to 2 at
Okay.
7937. And also, you could reach us on 301
Hmm.
301 785. That's normally how people contact us. And they contact us from all, they find, yeah, and also you can reach us through the capital area food bank. We're on that network and they let people know who we are and how many partners,
Okay.
because there's like millions of partners all over the metropolitan area and they always do the area.
I see. Now, do people have to be a member of your church? Do they have to live in the community? How can people qualify to take part in your in the services that you offer?
I'm glad you asked that question. They
Hmm.
do not have to be a member of our church. Graphically, they prefer that you go to the food bank in your area, but we don't turn away anybody. We have people coming to our in Maryland to get food from us. So it's no type of if you have a need, we want to fulfill the need for you. We even have somebody that's we usually do we don't do emergency, but if you call us and it's an emergency, we will render to you in a moment. So if there's a
Mm.
need, we will fulfill it,
Yeah. Now,
no
can you
matter
talk
what the
about some of
situation. It's like Matthew
yeah.
25 and 52.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, can you talk about some of the emergency situations that you face? What are some of the some noteworthy ones that you face where maybe somebody is in the hospital, somebody is sick? I know that you also work with people like elderly people and so forth. And so, what do people need to know that is available to them?
Okay. For instance, a social worker contacted us from out of our area. She was in Silver Spring, Maryland. I asked her, how did you reach us? And she said, you were the only pantry that answered the phone at that particular hour of the day. But although we deliver on Thursday, our phone is open 7 days a week, 24
Mhm.
hours a day. And she had a
Yeah.
case dealing with abused mothers and the children who have been displaced. And so we immediately took care of her, regardless of the distance. Now, however, she did come all the way from Silver Spring, Maryland to pick up the food for her client. But whenever they call us, when there's a need, we try to fulfill that need. And when they call us on that number that you have provided them or visit us on Thursday, regardless of their situation, we try to
Mhm.
provide for them. There are no parameters to keep them from getting any food. They don't have to be a member. They don't have to go to our church. They don't have to be in the area. But we still render to them, there's a need. And
Yeah.
also, although we don't have the staff, although you've seen a large staff, we only deliver to the independent living home. But if it's a situation where somebody is bedridden or they can't get to us, because that's one of the questions we ask, we do deliver to them.
Okay. Okay. That's very helpful. Another question I wanted to ask is how can people go beyond chronic hunger and their vulnerabilities uh, to ever rising food prices? Meaning, you know, this shouldn't just be a crutch forever. How can people work their way out of food insecurity and really build something, kind of get back on track? Is that something that you work with? Is that something that you encourage, so that way they can see their way out of food insecurity? Is there an area in the programs with your ministries that you help people not have to depend on a food pantry like the one you have?
Well, because we are a church, we do minister to other needs other than the actual hunger need and things like
Hmm.
that, like housing, clothing, things of that nature. And we always try to educate somebody on how they can better their life. And
Yeah.
I have a situation where a young lady was in the military, and they they needed food. A couple of cases actually, they needed food at the time, but then they got connected with the government to rely on
Hmm.
the assistance from the government, and they don't go to our food pantry anymore. But we're always ready there for them. But we're educated and show up if they ask us. If they asked us, we would because people have. The thing is, people have a lot of pride. It's hard for some people to even come to the food pantry because of pride.
Yeah.
But when you
Yeah.
ask us a question, that opens a door for us to minister to you and help you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one that you mentioned. Pride. Mother Teresa said, "Pride destroys everything."
Yeah,
Uh, how do you get over that?
yeah.
How do you encourage people to reach out
It's
for
a problem.
help?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yes, because we are ministers, the counselors, if you will. And so we always want to let them know that it's okay. Because see, you have to realize most people weren't a pandemic, or they didn't have COVID, or they didn't have all this stuff, new stuff that's upon them. And so they don't feel like they can reach out, that the pride is keeping them from reaching out to someone. We always educate them that it's okay to get a hand up, anybody. We teach and minister that everybody needs a hand up at one time or another. You need to reach out until you get to a position that you're stable yourself. And we teach that and we educate them and let them know that it's okay. The first thing is getting over that pride. It's okay to reach out for. And see, the most important thing is your children. You should not let your children starve because of your pride. You should reach out to a pantry or something of that nature to feed them, to take care of your household. And like you say, we make it very comfortable. We love and nurture them, and we let them know that it's okay to come to us, and we will take care of them whenever they call us, regardless of the
Yeah.
situation. You just have to
Yeah.
reach out. Help is here for you if you reach out.
Yeah.
We help with jobs, we help with housing, we help with everything.
Yeah, I think that's just so great. I think that's so great that you're there as a safety net for people. How do you identify underserved communities to do more for neighbors who may be unaware of the services your ministry provide? Meaning, do you do outreach? Do you beyond just coming to a show or giving interviews? Are there ways that you do outreach to let people know that you're there?
Mhm. Most of it, I think the actual Capital Area Food Bank has a brilliant network. Like I said, we get calls from hospitals, from social workers. Most of our advertisement is really done from word of mouth. We get
Okay.
contacted from people all over the place. So they're aware of us. They can have different the media, everything, internet, that's connecting people nowadays because it's much easier. I don't want to age myself than when we were growing up. We didn't have all these vehicles that we could contact and get information.
Yeah.
We're out there. We're everywhere. We're in the hospital. We're the social workers. They're contacting us constantly. I could be riding down, and I could be on vacation somewhere, and my phone rings. And this the number that we gave is a number that's available 24 hours a day. I get calls
Yeah.
at midnight. People in crisis, they want food. They get it. They have so many avenues in the capital area food bank. Make sure that that information is out there so that people can access it anywhere. All you have to do is go on the internet and type in "I need food" and it will pop up.
Yeah.
I need
That's right.
clothing. I need shelter. Information will pop up instantly. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
So can you
out there for anybody to access us. And I think it'll be the third name in Upper Maryland.
yeah. Can you
I'm
talk a
sorry. Go
little
ahead, please.
It's okay. Can you talk a little bit about your ministry? Talk a little bit about what your ministry is all about, beyond just filling the gaps. Tell us a little bit about Great Commission Change of Life Ministries.
Yes. Great Commission Changes Life Ministry is anointed, holy Pentecostal and connected to the food pantry and everything that we're doing. We're out to change the lives of somebody in the precious name of Jesus. And through our pastor, Pastor Iola Johnson, we're out to change the old man. Be careful because we have to walk within line because, like we stated earlier, ours is not to get you into be a member of our church. Regardless if
Hmm.
you go to this church, you go to any other church.
Hmm.
But our ministry is to make you a whole. We're of course gonna feed. We're gonna feed you. We're gonna nurture you with food, but we're gonna nurture you through the anointed word of God also. And we teach you. I think the most important thing about the word is to teach, because see, some churches are very charismatic, and you get revved up on a Sunday, but you don't have anything to hold on to. We try to teach you
Hmm.
that it's more than just the excitement that you get on a Sunday. God is here for you always.
Yeah. I like that. Is there anything else I haven't asked you about your ministry or the work that you do to help people who are underserved? Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important to note? I was saying, is there anything I haven't asked you about your ministry and your the food pantry and the services you provide that you think is important to note?
Just I need them to know that regardless of your situation, you have a friend.
Hmm.
You have a friend in Jesus that you can contact. We deal with suicide hotline. We deal with youth. Touch every basic to make you a whole person in the precious name of Jesus. Our job is to minister to you about the love of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was love. That's our whole vision is love. We like our moniker says, we believe in changing your life.
Yeah.
Whatever your situation you're in, you can have a number you can call to get in touch with us. And we always, regardless of where the person came to to get healed, he always made them whole at the end. We'll minister, we'll go past
Mhm.
that to make you a whole person in the precious name of Jesus.
That's right. And I've benefited from the food, and I just wanted to, one thing that I really love about your service was the fact that you have healthy food. I love gardening, but this is some of the food that you provide. Like, this is some of the food. I mean, you have
Mm-hmm.
eggplant. You partner with local farmers,
He's showing me.
and you have eggplant. You have zucchini, squash, you name it,
Mm-hmm.
beans, okra, kale. I mean, this is just. Absolutely fantastic. My father, when I used to ask for candy, my dad would say, how about some God candy? And he meant fruit. So I think you provide very wholesome, healthy food, which is very very important. In addition to some snacks and sweets here, but the fact that you partner with local farmers really makes a big difference because even within the African American community, we do have to be mindful about. The types of food that we eat, so that way we can stay healthy and avoid things that will send us to an early grave, you know? Oh,
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. In the African American community, those we normally gravitate to food that gives us high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. We love that because of our culture. We like fried food and like food that
mhm.
has flavor to it, but might not be good for us. But I'm so glad that we have different farmers, and each farmers is look well, like Diddley Squad Farmer and SOFGI Connection and People's Farm, and just to name a few, and Sisters of the Soul. But also, although they farm in the local area, they want you to come out to visit them, and they will want to partner and teach you how to farm. Now, they don't have to teach you because you already know, but they want to teach somebody to come out there and teach them how to
Yeah,
farm for themselves.
yeah. I think that's great. And the sooner we get to the young people, to show them how to farm and how incredible farming is and how incredible growing something is. Even in your apartment, you can grow all kinds of things in your apartment. So you don't have to necessarily
Yes,
have a huge farm. You just have to have a pot. You can grow tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, all kinds of different things in
yes,
your tiny little spot. I love that. I love that there's education attached to
right.
food insecurity. Yeah, yeah. Well, we've reached the end of our show, and as you know, we end.
Yes, because even though they deliver us food, make sure
Go ahead.
I can't hear you.
Oh
I can't hear
no.
you. I didn't hear what you said.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay, I was saying that the farmers, although they come to us, they're very insistent that we know and we have teach our young people how to come out. And like I said, like you said, you can farm in a container or a pot or anything of that nature, or your deck or your patio, any small space that you have, or inside if you have a plant life. But it's so good that we get educated at every avenue because we have to teach our young people. Because I found out that even though we're doing the food bank and even though we're African Americans, they still want to get the food that's not good for them. And they want us to give it to them. They don't gravitate. It's very few that will gravitate to the vegetables because
Mm,
some of them don't even know how to cook them. So we educate them when we can. Yes, yes. Some of them don't even know how to cook. So we educate them in that aspect too. They're like, well, why would I want this? And we say, and especially my wife, she would tell them, this is how you do it. It's real simple. You got to do this and you got to do that. You just have to boil it and stuff like that. Just put a little seasoning in. I can't go through everything because she's a cook. But yeah, we educate them how to cook food too.
yeah. I love that. I think that's very important. So we've reached the end of our show, and as you know, we end with the question of the day. Or the question of the day is, and so the question of the day, and I am going to show you this person here. So, the question of the day. So, as you know, Carly Russell is an African American woman, and she played a hoax on us, the kidnapping hoax. So, did Carly Russell's kidnapping hoax impact the Black community? If so, in what ways?
As I listen to your question, and it did impact the black community because it seems like media always gravitates to the negativity in our society of black people. whenever they can. But as I thought about it a little deeper, I thought it was very important that we deal with the problem at hand, which is, first of all, that we have a society that believes that you can fabricate a story or lie and get away with it. We even have presidents that are doing that now, and Jesus. So, and then we have a mental health problem. We got to get to the root of why is this young lady doing this, and why is she fabricating a story, or why is she lying, or does she need some help mentally? Because our young children, they're being sifted through, and we need to know that we have to have somebody to reach them, and not so much condemn them for what they do, but realize it might be a bigger problem here. First of all, as a black man, it hurt me, but that's the black man in me. But then as the pastor, I have to think about, wait a minute, this might be a greater, it might be something more here. She might have had mental health. She might have had dementia. She might be bipolar. Why is she reacting this way? And then why are her parents enabling her to do such things? We get to be very careful. We get to raise our black people up, not to hinder us in society, because we get beat enough. We don't need nobody to help us. We don't need anybody to hinder and hurt us anymore. We already, the media will do a great job of that by themselves. I believe we have to start in the home. We have to teach people that it's not okay to fabricate a story. It's not okay to lie. It's okay to, like I said, to reach out and don't have so much pride. If you have a problem, if you feel something mentally going on, it's okay for you to reach out and touch somebody that might can help you, so you won't even get in a situation. I think it's the greater thing when I think about it, that why is she even doing this? And we don't have, this is not the only person. We think that Jesse Smollett and everybody like that, they're damaging, yes, they're damaging the society and our black community because they're black. And it hurts
Yeah,
me that the media only focus on the negativity in our society when we got so many young people that are doing great in society, but they won't focus on that because that doesn't sell newspapers. That doesn't
that's
move
right.
the needle as far as the news is concerned.
Yeah.
But we still have we have to be sightful of that aspect of it, because I love black people. But we also have to
Mhm.
get in touch with, why did she do that?
Yeah. And I have to say, I was very disappointed myself, but what really compounded the disappointment for me was her mugshot. She asked for prayers. Not only did she do this hoax, but she asked for prayers. And then after asking for prayers and forgiveness, she goes and smiles in her mugshot, very smug, very disrespectful. I thought her mugshot really spoke volume of her character, which reflects very poorly not just on her personally, but on all of us. You know.
Yeah, it's a character flaw there, and it's
Mhm.
just that they don't have any respect or reverence for authority or society or even their culture. If you really was in touch with your culture and your history, and you know how much we had to go through from civil rights up to now, you would not try to hurt us anymore.
Yeah.
And I think she's disconnected from all of that because she hasn't been taught that this is us. And we have to work twice as hard to get anywhere. We had a black president and a black vice president, and we're still struggling as a race.
Yes. Yes. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Pastor Johnson. I certainly appreciate your time. It has been a very um, wonderful conversation, very informative. One of the reasons why I love these conversations is that, in spite of the Carly Russells in the world, and even yesterday, when you look at what happened in New York City with a streamer named Kai Cenat, who basically incited a riot at Union Square Park in New York City. And all these young people came out, and many of them were African Americans. Again, it's just further stigmatizes our community. And it just it breaks my heart. So one of the reasons why I love these stories is that folks forget that you're here. You and Pastor Iola Johnson are here. You're doing the good work. And the reason why I named this show Good Trouble is
Mhm.
because it's really a respect to the good trouble that folks like yourself, not just the late Congressman John Lewis, took part in, but there's still good trouble taking place. You know, not just the nonsense that our many of our young people are doing, but there's good trouble happening, even in Prince George's County, because the is still important. We still have a lot of work to do. We're still marching for equality, justice, and real freedom. And many of our young people have really, I would have to say, let us down. And they have not picked up where many have left off. And you really
Yes.
wonder, did many of these die? Many of these great Black leaders die in vain? You know, do their message still matters? Does it resonate still today, or are they lost in social media and really too busy being influencers and creating havoc and chaos in places like New York, Washington Square Park? And if you hear all the talk, people are talking about how Black Indigenous people of color are the ones who can't act right. They're talking about this. They're pointing to their culture. They're pointing to uh, their circumstances and the color of their skin to really to say, hey, you see how they behave. I heard somebody today talk about how make a comparison with big concerts like not I think what was her name. Taylor Swift. He mentioned Taylor Swift and said, "Oh, Taylor Swift has these all these hundreds of thousands of people show up, and these are mainly young white people, and they don't act like that." And that really hurt my heart. I was like, "Wow, these it impacts all of
Yes.
us." It hurt my heart. Yeah, it really did. So, any last words? Anything else you'd like to say?
I thank you for giving us the opportunity, like you say, that there's so negativity out here in the Black community. So that Black people out here right now is helping the community, giving them a hand up. And one other thing I want to mention before we that actual food is free. We provide this for you free of charge. We don't take anything from you. We're not intrusive. We don't ask you. We don't ask you a bunch of questions to try to get in your life. We just provide. If she holds up a basket of food she has, we're just trying to provide for you to give you nourishment because our heart goes out to young people and elderly people mainly. We want to make sure we want to give to the needy, not the greedy. And we just want to take care of the society and show them that there is somebody that you can come to stand up in Jesus' name. And thank you for
Thank
shining
you.
that light on us. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. It is my absolute pleasure. All right. So let me say my goodbyes and then we will end our show. I want to thank you, Pastor Keith Johnson. I also would like to thank your wife, Iola, who I had the pleasure of meeting, so I want to thank her too. We both love the country. So I just want to thank you very much, not just for your time, but for the good trouble you're making, even without notice by many in Prince George's County, Maryland. And thank you all for joining me for another edition of EPA Live. It is always a pleasure to bring you stories that help shape our culture and improve our minds. Until next time, I'm Jeanette Lenoir with E Pluribus America, and this is Our American Culture.